Hey guys! So I did a channel message with Prince, which was exploring his soul balance. And I thought it was quite a fascinating experience. I've done a channeling with David Bowie, and I'm really finding that these extraordinary souls, they live human lives, right? And we're all very extraordinary souls, and they were making an impact in this world. And now to see them transition and what their souls are actually, the messages of their souls, I can't even put words into what I'm trying to say here, but I've been really in another world, contemplating my experience with Prince. And I've also been thinking a lot about David Bowie since I did that channeling. I've had a lot of you request that I channel Whitney Houston and Michael Jackson, Kurt Cobain. And so I actually did have Whitney Houston on my upcoming list before anybody else. So I'm going to go ahead and channel Whitney Houston, and it's kind of complicated because I'm going to channel her, but I'm going to welcome her higher self into the experience. But we'll also take a look at her soul too as Whitney Houston. But we'll also take a look at her energetic vibration, and we'll learn something more about her through going into her essence. Okay, so I'm a spiritual healer. I go into people's spiritual atmospheres, and I can go into deceased loved ones. I can go into angels, alien beings. I can go into anything and explore what is there on an energetic harmonic level. So I translate frequencies, and then the frequencies translate into a deeper understanding. All kinds of wisdom is located in a frequency. You could say that light itself, enlightenment, is extraordinarily diverse and expanded, infinitely expanded with wisdom. So just a beam of light contains infinite numbers of information. So a frequency itself contains infinite numbers of information that I can only process so much as a human being. But let's go ahead and we'll just see what what I experienced with Whitney Houston. So give me a moment here. This is a little tough right now because there's a lot of emotional turmoil right now. I'm knocking on the outside of a door. With Prince, it was like an orb, but with her, it's just like a white door. There's a white wall. There's some brown trim around this white door. I'm just knocking on it. It's very simple. It's kind of like a backstage door or something for the stars room. I can't really describe it other than it reminds me of that. It doesn't have a name on it, but I know this is where her door is. And I see when I turn the handle that it's locked. If I try to say, okay, I'll just move along now, the wall behind me starts to push me into the wall in front of me. So I'm becoming very, very thin. And I'm being stretched very thin. So I'm sort of a normal sized person, and then because the wall is making me thinner, I'm actually expanding outwardly, but I'm extremely thin. And it's not still not going to allow me through the door. I'm just like extremely thin. I'm like a sheet of paper. And I just tell the wall, just go through me and let me be. But the wall never does go through me. And I can never be anything more than a sheet of paper, stretched extremely thin. And I feel stretched extremely thin like a sheet of paper. And I don't want to go into that door. I prefer if the door remained locked. I start to see that there was nothing on the other side of the door. It was the door itself that I was looking for. It was the handle, it was the hallway. But in the end, it was none of these things because it was myself. And myself got stretched extremely thin. This is Whitney Houston speaking. I can't seem to help her to feel reconditioned, or to let her help her know or understand that it's over now, that she doesn't have to carry that burden anymore, that we can open this up and bring her out, like expand her again. My higher self wants to remind you that I'm looking at what is something her soul is still carrying with her through her soul journey. The experience of being stretched very thin without an outlet to come back to life again. And that was very hard. It was suffocating. I can't even breathe, really. And I almost feel almost totally numb. I know I'm stretched thin. I know I'm struggling to breathe, but I'm almost numb to it at the same time. I'm almost becoming kind of empty, soulless in a way, although my soul's still there. Just because I'm becoming so numb to it, I just sort of becoming emotionless, feelingsless, and I'm stretched thin. How do you bring life to somebody who is stretched so thin? Unfortunately, the next thing I see is, how do you bring life to somebody who's stretched so ridiculously thin? There's sort of a laughter and says, I can bring light to somebody who is stretched so ridiculously thin, as it's actually a match that they're lighting this thin piece of paper and lighting it on fire. I also experience some sort of what is like a pipe, smoking out of a pipe. And if I could allow that smoke to go into my lungs, it's like my whole world becomes a part of another world. And I can let that be my life. I can let that be my reality. And it's actually, it's pulling me into itself. So this smoke is actually pulling me into itself, because this other reality is encouraging my soul to move towards it, more so than what is my real world. So I'm starting to distort between, not choosing to live in the real world and wanting to live more in this other world, this world that the smoking provides me, the smoke experience provides me. I will not stop this. I just simply will not stop this, smoking this pipe. I won't stop. And nothing anybody says is going to make me stop. Because I need this. This sustains me. And unfortunately, I experience what is so much numbness of the senses, that the choice to say that this is sustaining me is actually not the truth. She can't even access what is truly sustaining her. Everything is very distorted. Everything is really distorted, and you can't access, what the soul or the heart of you actually is longing for. It's becoming so smoked out and so hazy and so foggy in here. You can't even find yourself. You can't even see where you're going anymore. You're actually totally in a fog. 100% in a fog. You cannot see where you're going anymore. Zero ability to see. But zero ability to care as well. And it's all when it's is a very bad situation to be in. Because there's nobody trying to get her out of the smoke. Like, it just doesn't feel like anybody's able to get her out of the smoke. She's sort of lost herself in it. Whitney Houston's higher self is actually smiling at me, and she looks radiant. This is something that I haven't done with the other human souls I've channeled, is helping you to see the higher self is always in heaven, is always emanating, is always in the balance. But the higher self has a lineage of experiences that are through timelines. And there's so many timelines going on. So Whitney Houston's higher self, a part of her totality is Whitney Houston. And this part of her has experienced vulnerability. And this is the vulnerability, and this is also beautiful because it's what makes her real. It's what makes her who she is. It's what gives us a reason to appreciate the challenges and the struggles that souls go through as human beings here. And we can learn something from this. Oh God. Oh, something really gross about coughing a lot and the throat. Oh, I feel like I just swallowed something really disgusting. Ugh. Like a toad or something that got stuck in my throat. And it's absolutely putrid. It's just insanely disgusting. Oh, and it's stuck here. Ugh. And I can't see or feel anything. And even this is starting to become more tolerable, and I just don't care. Oh, I feel like I need to cough it up. I need to get it out, but it won't ever come out. It's like lodged in there. I'm trying to ignore it some more. I'm trying to allow the fog or the haze to welcome me in. But this is like, I'm still trying to get it out. Um, it's starting to become really overwhelming. I feel like my whole face is, there's some sort of awful crust of some something growing on my face, and scaly kind of something weird growing on my face. And it's dark. It's like, I can only describe it as black stop signs, and because they're like in that shape, but they're all blacked out. So they kind of look like scales all over, but they're really just black stop signs. But they're blacked out. The stop is blacked out, and it's starting to become all over my head. It's like starting to pop up all over my head, and I'm starting to feel kind of like choked by whatever this is in my throat, and this is ever growing, like it's almost like a sound that's screaming, but I just want it to numb out. I just need it to stop. um my higher self and Whitney Houston's higher self says she could have stopped this at any time, but her higher self says, I still love myself for my choices. I still love myself for my experiences. Oh man, I'm telling you, it's getting really bad. It's getting way worse. I don't know. Does she see herself as very hideous or ugly? Because all these black stop signs, they're all blacked out. They're all over. They're starting to turn her face black, and she looks hideous, like a monster. And it's starting to become her breasts, her body is starting to look hideous. She's starting to feel like she's looking like a monster. And the smoke does not help anymore. It actually isn't helping her to enter into that other reality as freely as it once was. Um, and so it's actually becoming a very bad thing, and she doesn't have um, a way out of this unless she stops everything she's doing and goes to find herself again. But she's sort of snowballing into a place where she can't seem to, she's lost her ability to feel, and through that she's not able to make clear decisions to help herself. And then when she starts to notice that it is getting bad, she's looking for an easy way out, and there is no easy way to out when this happens. And it's like too much. It's like we're kind of at a point here where this is not what was supposed to happen. It's not supposed to be like this. And this awful sort of swallowing of toad or something is in her heart now too, and it's very disgusting. Oh God, is it gross? Oh. I asked Whitney Houston's higher self. I mean, what am I? What do I do about this? I mean, She says she suspects the viewers want to hear about her music career. Princess herself said the same thing. She's like, "Why aren't you interested in my music career?" It's like, she's like, "Don't you want to know that I'm an angel and that I brought angelic harmonies to this earth? You actually want to know who I was, like who I really am?" It's like, you know what? It's like, I want to know who you actually are as a person. I find that far more fascinating than your talents, I suppose. She asked me if I could take this part of herself up into another space. She looks all grayed out and crusty, and she's sort of like she's turning into a pile of ash that is almost entirely ash about to blow away. And she's stuck in this state. And once the wind blows her, then there's going to be nothing left of her. And in a way, her soul wanted this. Her soul came to a point where it actually wanted to transition from the life because it couldn't deal with all of this, and it needed more lifetimes in order to process it. So in a way, her soul actually created this transition, um, which was in a way her soul's gift to freedom. And so I just see her as sort of a statue of ashes, but she's laying down. I'm trying to bring her into a higher place, but it's so heavy. Like, I'm trying to lift up this, but she's laying on a platform, and I'm trying to lift up the platform with all of her ashes on it, and I'm trying to get her to this place, but it's like it's so heavy. It's almost pinching my fingers down. It's really resisting. It's just pushing itself downward, and it's resisting me moving it, and it's becoming so heavy. Ask her higher self, was this what she dreamed of when she was younger? And show her higher self some of the beautiful music that has inspired me that she sang. But I don't seem to feel sad that this happened to her, only because I seem to accept the soul choices. What I feel emotional about is how beautiful the gifts were that she gave to the world while she was able to give them to the world. And I don't think any less of her. And she just smiles. Hmm. I guess I don't know what else to do. I somehow I manifest what is a heart, and then I place the heart into these ashes, and the heart starts to develop what is like a circulatory system, and it's growing out through the shoulders and all the way down to the hands into the head. And I'm starting to see that her eyes are now there, and she's growing a face, and it's coming around her. And I'm allowing the pedestal to be here as it is. She has a breathing mask on, but I take it off and I tell her, you don't need this anymore. She's confused. She wants to know where she is. I say, I'm bringing you back to life. I'm resuscitating you, resuscitating your soul. She says, who are you? Why are you in my room? What are you doing in my room? I didn't tell you could come in here. What do you want from me? She seems confused. It's sort of like she's in a hospital and I'm her doctor, and I tell her it's okay. It's just rest. She's so angry. She starts to throw things at me and tells me to get out. I mean, she is telling me to get out. So I find myself in the hallway again, and there's a locked door in front of me. She does not want any visitors. She wants nobody. Starting to see that behind this door. Ugh, it's just dark and smoky. I just walk through the other wall. I tell her higher self that that's all I know what to do. That's it. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to do. She says, I know. I say, well, I guess if there's one thing I'm learning, that souls that have already passed away, that I don't really have any connection with other than to explore a discovery of their soul in this way, I've not necessarily been able to heal them, because it's as if they have to choose the healing for themselves. They have to want to heal themselves in that place. So it's like, it's all the hardest stuff that our soul wasn't able to conquer in this lifetime is still there. And so, and that's all I can say about that. Usually if I do healing for a deceased loved one, there's a connection between their souls. So I can go into the deceased loved one's soul and connect with them, share super awesome messages or healing for their soul or whatever is explored. Then I get to heal the client's soul too. So it's really fun, and there's a lot of like soul healing going on. And so it's a little bit different than going into like a celebrity that a celebrity that passed on. And I'm not really a fan of just, it's like there's way more awesome, like it's not just celebrities that are awesome, like we're all really awesome. And just because the celebrities happen to be souls that chose that pathway to be in the open doesn't mean they're the only souls that are really talented or special on the planet. We just happen to know those names, and then this other side of our souls, this drama side of our souls, just wants to know more. And it's sort of like, in a way, perhaps that celebrity experience was, perhaps it's us that are creating the issues for them, that are now transitioning them into these aftermath soul journeys. But in the end, we're all teachers of each other. We're all teachers and learners and experiences of the collective. And so we are doing good and bad at the same time for each other. But in the end, the soul has to choose how it wants to process the experience, and how it will allow the experience to destroy it, or how it will choose to conquer the experience in its own way. And my higher self says, so do you think Whitney Houston's experience destroyed her? In the end, is what led her to an early death. I would say that definitely Whitney Houston was going through an experience that she really wanted. She was getting stretched thin, and through that she was choosing an opportunity to find freedom from that experience, instead of asking herself, why do I feel stretched thin, and what can I do to bring myself back into balance again. It was sort of like falling into a rut of a choice that continued to create more and more ruts along the way. And then now where's the balance at? Where's the harmony at? So it's totally different channeling experience. Totally different. Much softer, I will say. Her essence is very soft and can be emotional, like naturally emotional, like a woman would be. But it's also very soft, and it really wanted to just be in another reality. In the end, it wanted to transition into a new experience, and it was sort of like stimulating that through what it would be like a downward spiral. And I don't really know anything more about that other than what I've experienced so far. So I would stop there. I hope I hope this brings a perspective, enlightenment. I'm really learning a lot through doing these channelings. I've done a lot more channelings than I've actually shared, with deities and Christ consciousness figures. And I find that when I channel historical people, um, I've channeled historical people that were, that, there's certain vibe to them, right? Um, but why not channel like George Washington, or, I channeled who was it? I can't even think right now. I'm still kind of out of it from Connects with Whitney Houston. Nikola Tesla, that's who it is. He was really fun to channel, but he also kind of went through his own hardships. But he's quite alive. He's quite alive and very involved in the world today as a spirit. So even though he's a transitioned, he's like also very involved in planet Earth as a spirit. Where he was involved in planet Earth as a human, he's still involved in planet Earth as a spirit. So he's still living a lifetime. I don't know how you would define spirit living a lifetime, because spirits don't die. They just transition into experiences. I mean, it's so infinite. The soul journey is so infinite. Anyway, I'll just stop there. All right. Thank you guys for your awesome comments. And I really appreciate everything that you have to share. And I appreciate your support. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.